Thank you very much, Professor Caye, for this long-term view and this invitation. And now I would like to open the debate, or if you have questions and answers for any of those two speakers, either Professor Fujita or Professor Caye, or if Professor Fujita, you want to say something.
大変共感を持ってケイジ先生の発表お聞きいたしました。私もそのロングタームデベロップメントって言いますか、ロングラスティングデベロップメントっていうそういう考え方に強く共感するものでありますけれども、ただたとえそれがこう長い時間をかけた時間のセンスというものを持ったディベロップメントであっても、本当に私たちは今ディベロップメントっていうのを追求する必要があるのでしょうかっていうそういう問いが私の中にあって、何かいわゆる近代っていうものが私たちに植え付けた発展こそが最善のものであるっていうそういう考え方を根底から反省するっていうそういうことを今求められているのではないかっていうそういう印象があるんですが、その点ケイ先生どういうふうにお考えになるかちょっと伺ってみたいなと思いますけども。
Let me give a simple translation. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But so Professor Fujita completely agrees with this necessity of a long-term view. But on the other hand, how shall we commit to this idea of development, of producing more, which has become more and more prominent in the modernity? It is correct, Professor Fujita? Is this what you want to say?
Alors, Marc-Henri, je vais répondre en français, vous traduirez en japonais puisque c'est le moment des langues. Et vous-même en japonais, je crois que it's very important. There is many language and many culture discussed. Oui. Les économistes font la différence entre growth, la croissance et le développement. Le développement contient une part de transformation qualitative que la notion de croissance ne contient pas nécessairement.
I'm going to say this in English. So there is a distinction between growth and development. Development as a qualitative transformation that is not necessarily included when we talk about growth.
Alors là-dessus, le professeur Fujita pose une question vraiment importante. Pour beaucoup d'écologistes, la notion de développement soutenable ou de développement durable est simplement un slogan du business. Comment dit-on en anglais? Greenwashing. On lave plus vert avec cette notion. Et comme je l'ai montré, je veux dire, ça fait depuis 50 ans, 30 ans, le rapport Meadows date de 1972, le rapport Brundtland date de 1987, donc ça fait entre 50 et 50 ans, et comme on le sait, l'évolution n'est pas favorable. Le réchauffement climatique s'accélère, la présence du carbone dans l'atmosphère s'accélère, on est au sommet aujourd'hui, donc il n'y a pas d'évolution en réalité, et c'est pour ça que nous avons besoin d'une réflexion de fond, et donc je me suis simplement permis d'introduire la notion de temps qu'on trouve dans l'expression française, et qui me semble pour le coup alors plus intéressante que l'expression anglaise, que je me suis permis d'introduire la notion de temps dans la réflexion sur le développement. Alors, simplement pour conclure, je crois que la notion de temps est vraiment un opérateur capable d'organiser le dialogue entre les différentes cultures.
Okay. So this is not a faithful translation, but so Professor Caye completely agree with Professor Fujita's remark, and in many ecological circles, the very notion of sustainable development is very criticized as a kind of greenwashing, as a mask to more economic strategies or new business strategies. So it's completely criticized, and it is true also that since already 30 and 40 years, many scientists and circles of scientists have warned us, and actually their predictions are becoming right, and the situation is more and more problematic. But on the other hand, what Professor Caye has tried here to propose as a common, as an operator, as a common, as a way to dialogue, as an axis for the dialogue, this is this notion of time, of long-term vision, as in order to dialogue between cultures. So, and during the preparation of this meeting, actually, we were also considering the fact that traditional societies, in contradiction to the modern world, have generally a longer perspective about time, and this is also maybe a topic at the center of this now cross-cultural dialogue that we are having right now.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments, which I think converge nicely on what is perhaps the key issue in sustainable development, which is simply taking it seriously. The definition of sustainable development from the Brundtland report is about meeting human needs today without impairing the capacity to meet human needs tomorrow. And the time dimension is precisely the dimension of interdependence, ecological pressures, and uncertainty. But maybe we need to shift the focus to the other part, which is human needs. What are they? The reference to human needs is precisely the space in which the possibility of imagining transformative responses to ecological constraints is opened up, but of course immediately closed again by, as you put it, the mechanics of the UN system, where we assume that human needs are defined by the right of everyone to catch up with the currently most resource-intensive models of consumption. Clearly, that's not possible physically. The philosophical question is whether it is desirable in principle, and whether, if it is not desirable in principle, some alternative model can be sketched of what human needs might be. And this is it would be incredibly controversial to raise this in a UN setting, because it looks like a denial of the right to development, which is claimed very strongly by developing countries. So let me be politically incorrect and raise it, even though I'm not supposed to. The space of reflexive interrogation about human needs is the space in which some of these contradictions can perhaps be resolved. Perhaps not theoretically, but at least practically. And I'd be interested in your thoughts on that.
Thank you very much. Did you have now, you want to say something, Pierre? Or?
Oui. Alors, j'ai conclu d'une façon un peu polémique sur un paradoxe. Je considère que ce qu'on appelle la gouvernance, c'est-à-dire la transformation des conditions de gouvernement en Occident. Bien sûr, je ne parle pas de ce qui se passe en Chine ou en Russie, mais que ce qu'on appelle gouvernance, et en particulier en Europe, n'est absolument pas adapté à la construction d'une politique au long terme. Voilà. Ce qu'on appelle Law on Economics, c'est-à-dire l'introduction de considérations économiques dans la jurisprudence, et aussi un élément de court-termisme par rapport à ce que le droit, depuis le droit romain, porte en matière de culture du temps. Ce qu'on appelle la théorie de la croissance endogène, qui est la théorie majeure aujourd'hui en économie, en ce qui concerne la croissance, est aussi une théorie qui en réalité favorise la marchandisation générale des sociétés. Et je ne crois pas que la marchandisation générale des sociétés soit propice à la construction du long terme. Donc je note un paradoxe entre les belles intentions politiques occidentales et, à mon sens, le manque d'instruments pour construire le long terme.
So more than a translation, I will make a summary, and actually John completely understood what was said. But for the audience, the last slide of Professor Caye was particularly a critique of the current state of government, mainly in France and Europe, which is mainly now based and following short-term views. And this is, according to Pierre Caye's analysis, because of the introduction of what is called the School of Law and Economics, the introduction of economical constraints into the legal process, so to speak. So which are more, which since the Roman Empire were more built upon long-term views. So, but this lead, according to Professor Caye, to a rather marchandisation. How should I say, John? Commercialization of
global commercialization
of even human beings or human resources, as we say now. So this is probably not the best way to see the long-term view, and this is a paradox at the very center of our political power now in Europe, but maybe beyond.
Actually, better than commercialization, commodification. Commodity as marchandise.
And law on economics is very practical.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Charles Bolico from FAO. I didn't really have a question to ask. I had 2 comments to make, having listened carefully to the intervention by Professor Caye. The first comment will be very short, based on the fact that John has already elaborated on most of it. It's the fact that, indeed, I've always been quite worried about the negligence in today's, politicians of the notion of time. This will definitely compromise future development, and I do agree fully with you on this point. It is one on which we need to pay more attention, and this can come from, highly visible, researchers like yourself. We need to ring the bell all the time. We need to let people know that it cannot continue that way. I will not elaborate because John spoke even better than I would have. I'll go straight to my second point. You started your intervention with some remarks on the SDGs. And among other things, you said that there are too many objectives, and that for lack of maybe methodology, that achieving those would be a daunting task, if not impossible. I can see where you're coming from. I was actually, to understand SDGs very well, it's always good to know that this is a successor arrangement of what came before it. And before it, we had the MDGs. And I was actually in New York when we were actually elaborating the MDGs, and we came up with only 8 of them. Who adopted the SDGs? It was member countries. It was not the United Nations seen as the Secretary General and other institutions. It was member countries, France, USA, Congo, etc. And why did they adopt those 17 SDGs? They did so because they looked at the evaluation assessment that was done of the achievements or lack thereof, of the MDGs. And as you know very well, MDGs were essentially how we could have developing countries. They were mainly focused on developing countries. When SDGs are now covering all countries, why did they adopt these SDGs? It's because they saw all the trends. They analyzed all the conditions of success. Why did some countries achieve at least some of the MDGs and others did not? I think they found 2 main points there. One was political will. It was not a matter of being rich or having the resources. It was a matter of political will. And where there was political will, whether there were enough resources or not, something was done. And at least poverty and hunger and education, at least those were seriously addressed. And the second point I found was that actually it doesn't take that much money to make sure that everybody can have food to eat, that we can, eliminate poverty from the surface of it. It does not take that much money. Of course, for any agenda to be achieved, there are preconditions, there are prerequisites, there are, assumptions that must be met. And so I don't think it is such an impossible agenda to achieve if we only remember that it costs $162 per poor person between now and 2030 to do it. And this is a lot less than what each country is spending today on, weapons, on their armies, what they are spending even on ODA. And so it's not such a daunting task. It's just that the preconditions have to be met. And in a world today, we know that, poverty and hunger are on the increase, unfortunately. We know this from this year because of circumstances like wars and conflicts all over, and climate change, of course, and we can all do something about it. Again, mine is not a question. I'm only saying that my perspective from all the statistical projections that I have seen is that it is perfectly achievable, provided all those prerequisites also are met. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving the insider's perspective on how those SDGs were elaborated. You want to just a short, yeah.
Bon, there are many questions. Je vais juste répondre à une question. La pauvreté n'est pas simplement une affaire de monnaie. Sinon, il n'y aurait pas de pauvreté dans les pays riches. Or, il y a beaucoup de pauvreté dans les pays riches. C'est aussi une affaire de solidarité. Et la solidarité, c'est une question politique, c'est une question spirituelle aussi. On a évoqué ce matin des questions de religion. Et je pense que la question de la solidarité est aussi liée aux questions religieuses dans certains pays. Et donc, la pauvreté est une question globale et non seulement économique.
Ce sont les prérequis dont je parle.
Oui.
So poverty is not only a problem of economics, it has also a political aspect, and you say spiritual and maybe also religious because of such aspects like solidarity. So maybe another question? Yes, you wanted.
Thank you very much for both excellent contributions. My question is for Professor Fujita. I'm fascinated by the fact that Nishida adopts Alois Riegel's concept of ur-culture or primordial culture to arrive at the same solution that the people who sort of reject Riegel's notion also arrived at, namely that you have to compare cultures in order to understand them in their uniqueness. And why am I fascinated with this? I think it's tied to a very, very big problem. Right now, within the rise of understanding culture with natural science and computational methods, we have an increasing rebounding of the idea that there is some sort of null model or some sort of common ground, some kind of ground truth going on. And as we all know, this happens in nationalism, right, where every nation thinks they are the ground truth. Or a recent example from last week's news would be that machine learning can, with 80% probability by facial recognition, recognize potential terrorists, right? This is frightening, right, because there is no correlation between these two things. And art history after Riegel, both the tradition of A.B. Warburg with the symbolism would completely deny that there is a ground truth that was a primordial thing. You know, it's like there is no primordial human species. We all have one father and 1,000 mothers 100 generations ago, right? And the other tradition of art history, which is George Kubler, who denies the symbolist tradition, he ends up in the same situation. He also would deny, he says, he explicitly says there is no prime object, which is the same thing. So the question is there in Nishida's philosophy, can we find the same transition we find in German art history from Alois Riegel to these other two traditions? Do we find that also in Nishida's thought? And can we get rid of the idea that there is a kind of primordial culture, which probably there never was?
この話の中でも少し触れましたけれども、西田は文化の個性ということをやっぱり強調するんですよね。
Nishida emphasizes partly on the notion of structure, the structure of the culture.
だからその例えば近年その文化的普遍者っていう そういう言い方がされたりして、何か私たちが共通する普遍的な文化が作られるかのような、そういう主張も出てきていますけども。
For sure, was concerned with the possibility of creating a universalist culture.
西田はそれには賛成しなかったわけですね。どこまでもそれぞれの個性という、そこから出発しながら、ただ一方でその当時のナショナリストたちが日本文化こそが最も優れたものであるという、そういう自分に閉じたそういう文化に対する見方をしてたわけですけど、それには非常に厳しく批判をしたわけです。
But he was not simply consenting in such a project in a naive way, and was very concerned with all the difficulties that you mentioned, and particularly and during the time of the war, where people were trying to assert that Japanese culture was the highest form of culture, and thus a universalist culture, but better than all the others. He would definitely criticize this very strongly, and this is actually what's shown in one of the quotations.
そういう意味で非常に相対主義的な面が西田にあったわけです。つまり日本文化も文化の中の一つだし、ヨーロッパ文化も文化の中の一つであるという。
So we would be considered also as somehow as an advocate of relativism, situating Japanese culture within other forms of culture. So, yes.
しかしそういう個性を持った文化と文化の出会いの中からこそそれぞれの文化のより豊かな発展ですね、そういうものが考えられるという、それが西田言いたかったことだという、そんなふうに言えるかなと思うんですけども。
So we can summarize the point of view of Nishida by saying that he was interested in knowing from the perspective of the different structures of different cultures and the structure of their encounter by knowing what is the point by which they flourish. And actually they flourish by meeting each other, and this is actually what is implied in this model of the importance of the eye of the encounter. So this is a kind of middle way, you would say. Thank you very much. It's time to conclude this morning session. So I would like to applaud our speaker this morning. Thank you very much for your attention.